Living with chronic illness, the start of a new year can feel more like a reminder of what we didn't do than a fresh beginning. Maybe you're like I have been in the past, where I have looked over all of my business and personal plans and then had the familiar ache of it wasn't enough. But what if those unfinished plans aren't a sign of failure at all? What if your journey of chronic illness has actually been preparing you for a different and, dare I say, gentler way of doing business that truly works for you? Today, let's talk about stop fighting against our bodies and start creating success on our own terms, especially in this new year.
Welcome to Chronic Illness CEO, where we're ditching the hustle culture and rewriting the rules of entrepreneurship to work for us, not against us. I'm Jessica Brown, a business strategist who knows firsthand what it's like to grow an online business while managing chronic health challenges. If you're done with cookie cutter advice that keeps you trapped in the cycle of push, crash, and flare, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll explore practical growth strategies for creating sustainable success. So grab your cozy blanket, your favorite warm drink, and let's discover what's possible when we stop fighting against our bodies and start building businesses that truly support our lives.
Earlier this month, I found myself sitting on the floor, cross-legged, going through all of my different notebooks and planners and business plans from the previous years before. I was gathering everything that I had to review as I was looking to restart my business this year. Each folder and notebook had detailed plans for content creation, launch plans, different products and programs. And there were so many dreams that were written on these pages that just never came to be. And you know what? A few years ago, that would have crushed me. I can't tell you how many times over the past 10 or so years that I have crafted these elaborate plans, each one meticulously thought out. The perfect progression of lead magnets and online courses and group programs and masterminds. Every strategy checked the expert-approved boxes. And the thing is, these plans weren't bad ones. They were actually really good. And people who had implemented these plans were doing incredibly successful with their business. And it could have been successful for my business too if I had had the energy to consistently implement them. And in the past, I would have seen that and I would just have beaten myself and seen myself as one giant, epic, huge failure. But this month, when I was going through all of those files, something different happened. Instead of seeing a pile of failures and dreams not pursued and plans not implemented, I saw something else. I saw evidence of my resilience, of my unwavering commitment to create something meaningful, even when my body had other plans. Each of those abandoned strategies taught me something crucial. It wasn't that I couldn't succeed in business. I just needed to find my way of doing it. You see, when you're building an online business while managing chronic illness, the traditional business blueprints aren't designed for us. And that's okay, because today we're going to talk about how to stop forcing ourselves into someone else's business model and start creating one that actually honors who we are and how our bodies work. Let's be honest about something. The start of the new year is not some fresh, energizing restart for everyone. Not for people like us. For many of us, January arrives when our energy is at the lowest. We have just survived the holidays, and if we're honest, it's probably already triggered a flare-up or two. Winter's shorter days and longer nights may also affect our bodies in ways that others don't experience. And while everyone else seems to be bouncing into the new year with this energy and this drive and all these ambitions, we're often just trying to get back to our baseline. And then comes the ritual of reviewing the past year to be able to start the new year. And that can sting. We look at our goals and we mostly see the things that were left unchecked. Those treatment approaches that didn't work. The opportunities we had to pass up because our body said not today. The days we had to spend resting that our inner critic labels as unproductive and lazy. Now, I may be dating myself here, but one of my favorite movies growing up was The Never-Ending Story. And there is a particular scene where Atreyu and his horse are walking through the swamp of sadness. Atreyu's trying to pull his horse through the swamp, but the horse has been caught up in that despair and that sadness and sinks. Now, I personally don't know why they felt this was appropriate for children to watch, because that scene absolutely devastated me. But when I think about the new year I often feel like for many of us, it's like we've just entered the swamp of sadness. As we're wading through the muck, we're often feeling that weight pulling us down of all the missed opportunities, all of the things we had to give up, all of the things that we said no to, all the things we couldn't do. And it just drags us down. And maybe you've been feeling this way, but you've been masking those emotions because you don't want to put a damper on anyone else's enthusiasm. But here's what I want you to know. You're not alone in it. And just like Atreyu, I'm here to tell you not to give up, because there is a way for us to get out of the swamp. There is a way to see the upcoming year with hope and, dare I say, excitement. But first, we need to embrace some important truths about who we are and how we can thrive on our own terms. Real talk here. Before we can create a business that truly works for us, we need to embrace some fundamental truths. And yes, these may be hard to hear at first. I don't like them. You're probably not going to like them either. We are not able-bodied entrepreneurs. We can rage against this reality, and trust me, I have. But our bodies work differently. And here's the paradigm shift that changed everything for me. Different isn't better or worse. Different is just different. This means our businesses will be different too. And that's not just okay. It's actually beautiful. Why? Because we are pathfinders. We are explorers. We are literally creating new ways of doing business that could help countless others who come after us. And yes, this path can feel scary, and it can feel lonely, and it can feel overwhelming and frustrating and daunting. There will be times we'll have to backtrack to find the right way forward. There'll be more mountains to climb, more rivers to cross, but lean in close. I need you to hear this. These challenges do not make your story a tragedy. They make it an adventure. Let me tell you a moment that began to teach me all about how to create a sustainable business. So I have flower beds, and my flower beds for the last several years have looked like crap. They have been more weed beds than flower beds. And I didn't want another year where I felt like I was the embarrassment of the neighborhood. So I decided to redesign just one side of my house's flower beds. Simple enough, it was just going to be transplanting plants from one location to the next and vice versa. Swapping. Simple enough, right? Well, this all happened right around the time when I had my health crisis, and I had been prescribed a medication, and this medication had a side effect that literally drained all of my energy within an hour of taking this medication. And when I say I had no energy, I mean if I was walking the dog around my house, I would have to stop in the middle of the circle to sit down because I couldn't proceed any further. I had nothing left to give. So my parents decided to come over and help. My mom, being the amazing gardener that she is, was the one directing the show. And I found that I was taking more breaks than my 70-year-old parents. Talk about humbling. But instead of telling me to push through, which had been traditionally what the women of this family had done, my mom encouraged me to rest when I needed it. Now, in doing so, this meant that a project that should have only taken a few hours wound up taking most of the day. But here's the magic. When we finished, we weren't exhausted. We weren't in pain, and we weren't cranky. We were tired, yes. I definitely felt it, yes. But I still had energy for the evening. And somewhere between weeding and transplanting and water breaks, between the stories and the laughter, I realized something profound. We had accomplished exactly what we set out to do. We just did it differently. This is your permission slip to pace yourself in business, to take the breaks you need, to measure success not by how fast you implement or how fast your business grows, but how sustainable your progress is. This was one of the lessons that led me to completely reimagine my business approach. Instead of juggling multiple offers and multiple lead magnets and multiple marketing strategies and multiple products, all the things the experts tell you to do, I chose one thing, just one. For me, that's this podcast. Once a week for an entire year. One clear focus. One consistent commitment that works with my energy levels. Now from here, I'll add one offer, then eventually one lead magnet, and then one product. Each step intentionally paced, tested, and optimized. This isn't about thinking smaller or just trying to do less. It's about thinking smarter. It's about looking at what is the minimum amount of effort I can put in that is going to get me the maximum impact? It's about creating that success that is sustainable rather than sacrificial. Now, before we wrap up today, I want to give you one small but powerful action step. Notice how I said one? Because we are practicing what we preach. I'm calling this your permission slip to simplify. Here's what I want you to do. You're going to find a quiet moment. You're going to get your fuzzy blanket. You're going to get your favorite beverage. You're going to get a journal or at least a piece of paper and a colorful pen, because doing this with colorful pens is always better. Now, at the top, I want you to write one major area of your business that just feels overwhelming. This could be your marketing or your content creation or your offers or your client services. Now list everything that you are trying to do under that umbrella. Everything that you think you should be doing. All the expert advice that you are trying to follow. Now take a look at that list and take a deep breath. Here's the liberating part, if you allow yourself. I want you to just choose one thing on that list, one thing that lights you up, one thing that feels both meaningful and manageable. Circle it. This is your focus for the next 90 days. Just one thing. So if your marketing plan is social media on Instagram and doing TikTok and Instagram Reels and maybe trying to do a podcast or starting a YouTube thing, or I have to post every single day and I have to have pins or whatever it is. Maybe instead it's just one thing. Maybe it's just Instagram. Or if you're like me, maybe it's a podcast. Now on the back of the paper, I want you to write that one thing and I want you to see how you're going to adapt it based on your energy levels. If you're going to do Instagram and Instagram is I got to post daily, then how can you adapt posting daily in a way that's going to work with your energy levels? Maybe it's batch create content. You need to look to see you implement that in a way that is going to honor your body. What support systems do you need? Now remember, this isn't about limiting our impact. It's about concentrating our energy where it matters the most. Because one thing done sustainably is infinitely more powerful than a dozen things that drain you.
Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you're loving this episode and want to help more entrepreneurs with chronic illness discover that they don't have to sacrifice their health to build a successful business, and it would also be a huge help for this new show, I've got 3 quick ways you can help. First, hit that subscribe button. It makes sure that you don't miss any upcoming episodes and lets this platform know that our content is worth sharing. Second, if you're feeling extra generous, leave us a 5-star rating and review. Those ratings and reviews aren't just nice to read, although they totally make my day. They actually help push this podcast up in the algorithm so other entrepreneurs with chronic illness can find our cozy little community. And finally, if you know another business owner who's tired of the push, crash, flare cycle, share this episode with them. Because friend, everyone deserves to know that there's a better way to build a business that truly supports their life. Until the next time, I'm wishing you a gentle day.